like to introduce the first of tonight's speakers, Jimmy, who's going to share set 6.
I'm an addict in recovery. My name is Jimmy. I'm grateful to God and the program of Narcotics Anonymous. And if you guys would mind join me, those who choose to, please join me in the Serenity Prayer so I can invite God into this, to my spirit. So I'm going to start with the Serenity Prayer. God, grant me the serenity to accept the things I cannot change, the courage to change the things I can, and the wisdom to know the difference. Thank you. My sponsor explained to me that a meeting was from prayer to prayer, and we usually pray in and we pray out. And it was kind of funny when I was doing recovery. I didn't realize that you guys had tricked me into prayer. You know, every meeting I went to, they prayed in, they prayed out. I went to 3 meetings. I prayed 6 times that day without my permission. You know, so he slid it in on me right away. You know, and so I'm grateful. You know, I started my day, my morning with prayer. I pray in the shower. It's a regiment that I do all the time. When I can travel, I have the privacy. When I'm at home, I have the privacy. It's for me, it's a personal, very personal thing. You know, I feel I'm alone with God. I don't have any of the material things that seem to bound me sometimes. It's just me and God and the way that I came in, you know, to the world. You know, and it's a very humbling position to be in. I pray. My friend over here, we were talking about a friend of mine named Les, who died in this program, and when I was new, you know, sometimes a lot of us have you know, we have a lot of apprehension with God and prayer, and Les said that prayer is like having sex. He said it doesn't matter the position as long as you make contact, right? So no one's going to force you to pray in any way. Narcotics Anonymous give me the freedom, and I'm grateful for Les, and thank you. We had that moment we shared about one of our predecessors, man, and, you know, and that's what's beautiful about Narcotics Anonymous is that the people that carry, I stand up here not alone. I stand up here on the shoulders of many men and women who have loved me, that have taken the steps into their lives, that answered many questions, you know, answered many of my questions when I was new, you know, and they told me the only dumb questions are the ones you don't ask. And so, you know, I was one of those enthusiastic newcomers. After I got the pain and the hurt of active addiction up off of me, you know, I didn't have any problem asking questions. You know, when I walked in here, you know, they used to hand me the traditions. For whatever reason, I would get the 12 traditions, and, you know, I would read the traditions, and I would get to the anonymity word, you know, that word anonymity, you know. And everybody would laugh, and I would be like, what are they laughing at, right? But now I understand, you know, I didn't know the pronunciation of the word, nor did I know the definition. Today I understand it means more than just what you hear here, let it stay here. It means that we are all equal. What a powerful position for an addict to be in. I'm so self-centered. I'm self-obsessed, you know, and that's why service has been a tremendous part of my recovery. I've held a service position for the last 16 years. I've never gone without a service position in Narcotics Anonymous, you know. And me and my friend here are going to be celebrating very soon. His clean date is December 12th. My clean date is his December 10th. My clean date is December 12th. But I have to say I have 16 years clean, right? It's humbling because my ego wants to tell you, you know, I want to jump out there. But I'm grateful, you know, I'm grateful to God, I'm grateful to the program. And, you know, I've met so many wonderful people on this trip to London. It's my first time here. You know, listen, lost dreams awaken. New possibilities arise. You know, I couldn't get off the, you know, I'm from Hollywood, California. I come from the Southern California region of Narcotics Anonymous in the United States of America, right? I never get to say that back home, right? So twice I got to say it on my trip here. But I'm very, you know, you guys have been so beautiful, so wonderful. The hospitality, the friendships, you know, just the excitement, people being of service to us, Anne-Marie driving us around, and I went to Richmond, you know, the Richmond meeting, Dan's meeting, and this is amazing, you know. I mean, the energy, you can feel the energy and the excitement, and I believe there's a, you know, for me, you guys, you know, I'm going to take home much more with me than what I brought. You know, this has been an amazing experience. You know, I haven't been to Big Ben. I didn't go see the eye. I haven't met with the Queen yet, you know. But I've been to Wadsworth Prison, and I've been to High Point Prison. And I got to share that message of Narcotics Anonymous and the message of hope with the addicts that are still suffering inside the walls. You know, that's a greater gift that I can take away from with a picture. You know, the picture I got, you know, is going to go on Facebook, is going to be, you know, from Wadsworth Prison, right? I bet you most tourist people don't go there. So, needless to say, you know, I love hospitals and institutions. The moment I got 6 months clean and they took me, my sponsor directed me to go to a juvenile facility and carry the message, and I didn't really know what I was doing. I was just following my sponsor's direction. I didn't think I had much to share. You know, I didn't think I had, you know, at 6 months clean, you know, my sponsor told me, you go in there and you carry the message, you share whatever you believe recovery to be. Tell these people, you know. And so I did. I just followed direction, you know, and hospitals and institutions is a very powerful vehicle in which we carry the message, and I did that for my first 5 years. You know, I still go into the prison system back home when they invite me, and it's an honor to go anywhere for Narcotics Anonymous. You know, I'm the co-secretary of my home group. I'm the vice chair of programming for the regional convention, and I'm the chip and cookie guy at the Wednesday noon meeting, right? We call it, we give chips and we do bring cookies, and we celebrate birthdays, and back home they give you a cake and they sing to you, and so I love the autonomy here. You know, I love coming here and looking at the different groups and the way that people do things, and I like the fact that you guys give 10 minutes at the end of the meeting for the newcomer to share. The thing that's been difficult for me is that back home we raise our hand and they call on you. Here you jump in, you know, and I feel a little nervous, you know. I don't want to jump in, someone get mad or something, you know. So I just kind of laid back, but I learned to adapt, you know. But it's been an amazing experience, you know. And my defects of character have had a little bit of field day with me for the last couple of days here and there. You know, the disease of addiction will still, you know, attack me, you know, and I want to touch on the step. I think it's important, you know, that we go to step meetings. That had I known this was going to be a step meeting, I would have brought my literature with me. I think it's important that we bring our literature with us. And I know that's a rare thing, you know, for a lot of us. But I understand there's times that I wanted to make a reference to something. I wanted to understand what somebody was sharing, and I used to take my book and I would highlight it. And the literature has never lied to me. Many of you have. And so I didn't come here to piss in the newcomer's ear. I came here to let you know that I do not speak for the program of Narcotics Anonymous. I came here to share my experience, my strength, and my hope with you. That you know, I'm only a member of Narcotics Anonymous. I'm not a Narcotics Anonymous speaker. I'm a Narcotics Anonymous member. You know, and I'm proud. I'm very proud to be a member of this fellowship. You know, I have a lot of loyalty and fidelity to Narcotics Anonymous. I came straight from the streets to the seats. I got one clean date. I'm proud of that clean date. It's not my clean date. It's our clean date. It is a date that God chose for me. It's a divine date. You know, I have on many occasions, you know, just thought about how grateful I am. You know, it's a very. I think about the grace of God, you know, and what it was like before I got here. You know, I'm not going to share too much on what it was like using, but I can tell you this. When I arrived here, I was 29 years old, 155 pounds. And I was coughing up that green and yellow liver bile. You know, and I had blood coming out of every orifice of my body, and I had diarrhea, and I had the shakes real bad, and I had anxiety attacks. I had suicidal thoughts and insomnia, you know, and I was broken physically. And I had been separated from God for many years. And I came in here desperate and dying. My friend says, you know, I came in here the day before I died. You know, and my mother suffered as a result of my behavior. My family suffered. You know, I stole a lot of things from my mother. I shared this the other day. You know, I stole from my mother, and I didn't steal her car. I didn't take her jewelry. I stole serenity, peace, pride. There's a lot of things that you know, a lot of sleepless nights that my mother encountered on the receiving end of my behavior. You know, I brought violence to her doorstep, and I brought drugs into her home, and I disrespected her on many occasions, and my father as well, you know. And so, you know, I came in here very shamed, and the disease of addiction had its way with me. And I cried out to a power much greater than myself. I cried out to God on the 12th of December, 1995. And finally, the prayers were answered. You know, there was a moment of silence that happened prior to me getting here, you know, that I believe that is responsible, partly responsible for me being here. It's that moment of silence that we have for the addict that still suffers. For many of us, you know, we came here through the vehicle of prayer. I don't know about anybody else, but I certainly know I attribute me receiving the gift of recovery through prayer. And so the sixth step for me was, you know, I remember my sponsor said, I want you to make an inventory, write the list. I want you to ask other people, you know, what defects of character they see in you, which is very difficult, right? I had a lot of friends that were willing to tell me what, you know. And, you know, he said, just write it down if you're somewhere. And the funny thing was, as I went to meetings and I heard other people share, I keep having to add things to the list. You know, one of the things that was interesting is like, you know, the defective character, you know, things that we try to minimize, stuff like exaggeration. You know, exaggeration, it sounds pretty minimal, right? My sponsor says that's lying. You know, you tell half the truth is a whole lot, you know. And so he said, if you give me half the truth, I can only give you half the help. And so I had to get real honest about my defects of character. I had to write about womenizing. I had to write, you know, about lust issues. I had to write about anger, self-obsession, grandiosity, gluttony. I had, you know, there was a lot of things that I had to put down on the list. And I inventoried myself. And I remember the defective character that came up, the most prominent one that came up every day. No matter, at the end of the night, when I wrote down my defects of character, the defective character that was most prominent in my life was comparison. Every single day, I compared myself to somebody else, whether it was their recovery, the way they shared, how much money they had, you know, they had children, I didn't have kids, whatever it was, I never allowed myself to practice that, to really embrace the principle of anonymity. You know, I always came in here feeling better than or less than. The disease never wanted me to feel equal to anybody, you know. And so I had that defective character that would weigh me down, you know. And I have a friend named Lawrence. I used to call him Beaver. He died with a lot of years clean on this program, and he shared a lot of wonderful things with me. And one of the things he used to talk about is that, you know, recovery is new. It's brand new, you know, and it can be very uncomfortable at times. And he says those defects of character are like those favorite pair of shoes that you have, that you just don't want to get rid of, or those favorite pair of jeans that, you know, got holes in the knees. They just feel comfortable, and you're so used to them. And, you know, what happens is when we take our inventory, the sixth step, we take those defects of character, you know, and then we try to replace them with spiritual principles. And what happens is it seems very, very enticing to go into the closet, right? Get those old pair of favorite shoes or jeans that we're familiar with, because we understand, because the new pair of shoes of recovery, they're not broken in yet, and they're uncomfortable. They look good, but it's very tempting to go in the closet and put on those old pair of shoes. The literature says there's a certain distorted security in familiar pain. It seems safer to embrace what we know than to let go of it for the unknown. I'm used to chaos. I know what it's like to procrastinate to the last minute. I know what it's like to be a victim. I was very comfortable blaming other people for my life. What was not comfortable was owning, you know, responsibility. You know, the preamble, it talks about through my inability to accept personal responsibility, I was actually creating my own problems. You know, I never wanted to take responsibility, and I'm grateful for the people in my life that, you know, that were willing to risk the friendship. You know, they'd rather hurt my feelings than to watch me die. You know, so a lot of people, you know, they challenged me. And my first position was defensive. You know, my posture would be defensive. The literature says that that's what would happen. And so I had to get through my own ego in order to grow in recovery, because I knew that what people were saying would benefit me. And that what was up for revision was the truth. And the truth changes. And so I'm grateful, you know, because I was able to accept some responsibility for my behavior. I was able to move forward. I was able to find the freedom that comes, you know, from having a relationship with God, because all I'm doing is becoming entirely ready. You know, and that means, like, you know, for some of us, you know, it means we're ironing our clothes. You know, listen, if you haven't put your makeup on, you put all your clothes on, you're not ready yet. You know, like for me, if my clothes aren't ironed and I don't have it, you know, whatever the circumstances, I'm not entirely ready just yet. You know, I could be getting ready, I could almost be ready, but when you become entirely ready, you know, it's a different state of mind. And so throughout the years, there's been a lot of things. You know, I want to say this. Narcotics Anonymous is a program of health. This is a program of recovery. Many books have been written about addiction. This book has been written about recovery. Right? And the beautiful thing about this is they told me this was a love letter from God. And my sponsor said that everything I knew about recovery when I got here was on the first page. It was blank. You know? He told me a lot of things. He told me that God gave me 2 ears, 1 mouth. You need to listen twice as much as you talk. You know? He would say these things to me, you know, and he was very, very hard on me. You know, I was accepting of that tough love. Many of us are not, but I benefited from it, you know, because I was hard-headed, you know, and I'm grateful that he took all those risks with me and hurt my feelings many times. And I had to cock resentment. He said, "You're mad, aren't you?" I said, "No. You're mad, aren't you? Just say it. You're upset, right?" So I was, yes, because you're supposed to be upset. You know, because what he was doing is he was chipping away at my ego. And, you know, no pain, no gain. You know, we can't heal what we can't feel. And so I had to walk through my emotions. I had to walk through some uncomfortable feelings, a lot of truths about myself that I wasn't proud of. But one thing I understood is that we all walk through those truths, you know, if we want the freedom. You know, they were one and the same. Regardless of my defects of character look different than yours, you know, really, you know, they all stem from fear, you know. And someone was talking about the triangle of self-obsession, fear, anger, and resentment, FAR, fear, anger, resentment, far, far away from God. Every time I'm fear, anger, and resentment, you know, it's like I had to find forgiveness. I had to find acceptance. I had to learn about love. The most powerful principle we have, I believe, is love. You know, I've received a lot of love in Narcotics Anonymous, you know, from my friends, you know, from the fellowship. And, you know, there's either 2 ways you can look at it. You know, I know that sometimes it's very, you know, someone said we need to write a piece of literature, you know, make an IP, call it Surviving the Fellowship, you know, because it's tough sometimes, you know, but I have gotten myself into many, many situations through my own behavior, and I've given you things to talk about, right? And I think it's unrealistic for me to be in a room full of addicts, because membership is not automatic when somebody walks through the door, and we all suffer a degree of sickness and rate of recovery, so there's no guarantee that everybody in here is going to be vibrating or practicing principle at the same time. And so, you know, I have been guilty of gossip and jealousy. I have been guilty of pointing the finger and being critical and criticizing others. So who am I to complain when it happens to me? My sponsor told me you keep what you have by giving it away. And if you're coming to the meeting late, you know, and you're always criticizing others, and you're always being judgmental, that's what you're giving away, that's the same thing you get to keep. See, there's a law there, there's a principle there, right? And so I had to learn that, you know, when I practice forgiveness, when I practice trust, when I practice faith, and I practice love, those principles seem to work their way into my life more often than not, you know, and I'm grateful for that, you know. A lot of wonderful things have happened to me on the road of recovery, man. You know, just being here in London is a statement within itself. You know, coming from Hollywood, California, when people come to Hollywood, I know what they mean now. Like, I can't believe I'm in Hollywood. I can't believe I'm in London, you know what I mean? It's like I was down on Camden Street, man. It was like Venice Beach on steroids, man. I was like, this is great. They said the economy's bad. I said, not here. Everybody's buying up everything. So, you know, the ability to travel and meet new people, to be responsible. You know, I came here for a retreat, a Step 1, 2, 3 retreat. I got to be part of history in London. The first Step retreat in London, I was able to be here and experience it. And it was an amazing experience. You know, and I got to meet many wonderful people. And I will take that memory home with me. And it's going to be part of who I am today. It's part of my experience. And the beauty about that is that, there's just so many things. Right, we met this couple, right? We're in Starbucks. Me and Ramond, my brother Ramond, came here together. We're in Starbucks over on, I think it was Oxford Street, right? And it was buzzing, man. That's buzzing, right? That's the word, buzzing? It was buzzing. And we were sitting there in the coffee shop, and sitting next to us was this couple from America, from Texas. Hollywood and Texas far apart, right? Very different, right? Texas is very country, and the accents are completely different, and Hollywood were kind of fast and bright lights and big city. And I'm sitting here, we're having this conversation with this couple, and we talked to them. They were nice, nice couple, older woman, and you know what? We had a moment with them, and then we went about our business. And yesterday, Ramond and I were on the tube, and we're coming off we're walking through trying to catch another train, and boom, we bumped into him. Like out of all the places, as big as the city is, as much as going on, all the shopping and all the people and all the tubes I could have been taking, it's like we ran into them again. And to me, that was God breaking his anonymity. Kind of just letting me know that, we're on the right path, that it's going to be okay, and that those things happen, When I got clean, it's like all those things started happening for me, especially when I was looking for the evidence of God working in my life in the second step. It was like all these coincidences that were unfolding in my life. I couldn't deny it anymore because I was left with a vacuum, a void. I put the drugs down, what is there left to do? They say, if you proclaim to be a dope fiend and you put down the dope, then you're just left with the fiend. So there's things that had to take place. The trilogy. In Narcotics Anonymous. Stop using, lose the desire to use, and find a new way to live. That new way to live is healing and health. Man, I'm here because narcotics. I want more of the joy, and I want more of the freedom that Narcotics Anonymous has to offer, that I'm grateful that my sponsor took me through the steps, that I took advantage of the steps, that I took my divine inheritance, and I really, really embraced it. The fact that somebody, took their time out of their life to explain to me about the 12 steps and the 12 traditions of Narcotics Anonymous, because if I only work the steps, I only know half the truth. I had to get in touch with the 7th tradition. I was a grown man, 33 years old, right? I was like 3 years clean, and my mother was still doing my laundry. Right? My mom was still doing my laundry. I was taking my laundry to my mother's house, and she loved doing my laundry because she knew she would see me. And I would drop the laundry off at my mother's house, and my stepfather said, "What do you think this is? Patch, fluff, and fold?" And, he would make little remarks. But my sponsor said to me, fully self-supporting through your own contributions, you're supposed to relieve the burden from other people. Your dependency needs to be upon God. And you need to relieve other people of, serving you all the time. You need to pay your own way. There's a certain freedom that comes from paying your own way. I shared this as well, too. If your name's not on the lease, you're homeless. Because whoever you're living with, let them get an attitude, and you will be homeless. Your name's not on the lease. I share that with my sponsees all the time, and they look at me like I'm crazy, right? Until whoever they're living with gets pissed off. It's usually a woman. It's usually a woman. And, but I've been provoked many times, throughout the years. There was a guy that came to a meeting in Hollywood. There's certain things that people say that stick with me, and I hope I get this right. He said, if you can answer these 4 questions, then you just might be in recovery. He said, the first question is, who's your sponsor? The second question is, where's your home group? Right? The third question is, what service position do you have? And the fourth question is, what step are you on? If you can answer those 4 questions, then you're probably in recovery. If you can't answer those 4 questions, you might have to take a look at your recovery. And I'm grateful that I know who my sponsor is. I'm grateful to know what step I'm on. I'm grateful to know what service position I have. I'm just so grateful for that people had challenged me along the way. That my spirit, it's hard sometimes, to own the truths that come along with recovery. And, they said you either live out loud or you die in silence. And so I've lived out loud. I've lived my life in full view of Narcotics Anonymous. I've made poor decisions here. I've been in relationships that I shouldn't have been in. I stayed in the relationship long past the expiration date. A lot of things happened, here. Personality conflicts. The death of a loved one. A lot of things have happened over the years. And I've stayed through the no matter what. I remember being in a relationship, my girlfriend got pregnant, and we lost the first child to a tubal pregnancy, or to a miscarriage, and then we tried again, and she lost the second child to a tubal pregnancy, and then she got loaded. And I remember being at odds with God, and having a broken heart, and not understanding why, because there was a lot of sensitive issues, because when I was in active addiction, and there's a lot of things that come up, when you do the fourth step and you do the fifth and you share with somebody else. I had never been in a relationship where I had a woman have an abortion. It never happened to me. So I said, God, why me? Why me? And those are uncomfortable things that we have to write about. Whether when we were younger, whether we had, we played with our little cousins in the sleeping bag when we was kids, or, whatever the situation was. A lot of us have with the molestation, or whether it be abortion, or whether it be, infidelity, or, incest. Those are very uncomfortable things that come up in Narcotics Anonymous, and I'm grateful. Because I'm a sponsee and I'm a sponsor. And if it had not been for me having a relationship with God, I would not have been able to hold the things that somebody was going to share with me. Because I sponsor men, and they share things with me that are priceless to their recovery. Things that they entrust me with. And I need to be in a spiritual position, spiritually conditioned, to be able to hold those things. So sponsorship is very important. It's not one of those things that I play with or take lightly. Like, this person is asking me to help them save their own lives. And God is using me as the vehicle to do so. So it's a divine relationship that's forged out of trust and faith, and it's a two-way street. These men help me more than I help them, and I'm grateful. Some of my sponsees are my heroes. And, I made a commitment on the retreat, and I said that I'm going to be a better sponsor. I know that I can be a better sponsor. I know that I can be a better sponsor. And my recovery is not based like, the measure of my recovery is not based in times of convenience and comfort, but of controversy and challenge. That's when it comes out. That's when the 12 steps have to apply. Some days it's going to be when, I'm going to have a real relationship with God. You're going to meet God in one of your prayers or one of your affairs. Some of us, God will not be, He will not be a necessity, right? Until we really need Him. And then God will become a reality. They told me, man, and I heard this recently, and it's been true for me. I lost my mother on the 28th of March of this year. And when you're left with nothing, God becomes everything. And I'm grateful that I was able to cultivate that relationship at my own pace. I had the freedom to believe in the God of my own understanding. That relationship has nurtured me. It's made, recovery available for me. And God has put people in my life to help me and guide me. There's something happening here in London, very special. I met so many wonderful people, man. I met Patrick at the World Convention in San Diego. He came to my home group, man. Before I was coming here, he was hitting me on Facebook, and, hey, you're coming, and I can't wait to see you, and, it's getting cold over here, brother. You better get some warm clothes. He was looking out for me. That's what, we do here. We, this thing called Narcotics Anonymous is beautiful, They told me to marry my purpose and divorce my doubts. Everybody in this room has a purpose. I believe God has chosen you to be here because you have a story to tell. That somebody needs to hear your story. Somebody needs to hear something you have to say. That every person here is valuable, regardless of how you feel. Not everybody can come up here and share. Now, I can't make good coffee. Back home we make coffee. I'm a terrible coffee maker. You know what I mean? But I know that I'm a good secretary. I know that I'm good at the business meeting because I'm an alpha male. I'm outspoken. There's certain things that I have leadership qualities. That's not bragging. That's humility. Humility is being right-sized, knowing who you are, not denial of your assets. As a matter of fact, man, we need more doers and less sayers in Narcotics Anonymous. People encourage me, man. Come in here, talk about your victories, talk about the things you accomplished, talk about the degree you got, or the first time you got your driver's license back, or the first time you got a registration on your car that was yours. You know what I mean? First time you get a bank account. Women, mothers are getting their children back. Fathers are becoming fathers. I got a good friend back home, man. His name is Randy Q. And he's one of my mentors. He's a single father, and I admire him. He takes care of his daughter. And he's a beautiful man. He prayed with me when my mother died. He was there for a very special moment, an 11-step decision that I made with God. He continues to reach out to me. He calls me. He says, "Listen, man. I want to make our friendship a little stronger, man. Can we meet for lunch?" And then we go and we sit down and we talk about spiritual matters. And I'm grateful that I got some spiritually mature men in my life. They can help me, that I can confide in them, and I can talk to them about my insecurities and my fears and my doubts and my, the self-loathing that still tries to attack me from time to time. That I have to realize, man, I have to step towards my greatness. I got to let myself shine so I can give other people permission to do the same. That's not bragging. That's what other people did for me. I can stand here in self-loathing and discomfort and complain at the meeting all the time and talk about what I'm not getting. True spirituality is not about receiving, it's about giving. And so you know what? Tonight I came here and I'm receiving much more than I gave. Thank you for letting me share.
Mental health institutions, literature, and get that out. That stuff we're going away for newcomers and our H&I needs. So it's really important. And this area also needs 2 literature secretaries to give. If nobody comes and does the literature in this area, meetings won't get the literature. So if you've got a card and you can do service, please come along. Also, if there's anybody that speaks Polish, be really grateful if somebody would come and see me. We need somebody to translate for a guy that's suffering in a detox. And he can't understand the word of English and he's trying to get clean. The guy's dying, and he can't understand what's going on. So we need somebody to translate some literature and stuff. The area also needs RCM and a vice RCM. So if you're interested in any of that service, please come and see me. Thank you.
Thank you. Could someone please read Tradition 6, please?
Hello, I'm Freddie and I'm an addict. Tradition 6. An NA group will never endorse, finance or levy NA name to any related facility or outside enterprise, lest problems of money, property or prestige divert us from our primary purpose. Our 6th tradition tells us some of the things that we must do to preserve and protect our primary purpose. This tradition is the basis for our policy of non-affiliation and is extremely important to the continuation and growth of Narcotics Anonymous. Let's take a look at what this tradition says. The first thing a group ought never do is endorse. To endorse is to sanction, approve or recommend. Endorsements can be either direct or implied. We see direct endorsements every day in television commercials. An implied endorsement is one that is not specifically stated. Many other organisations wish to ride on the NA name. To allow them to do so would be an implied endorsement and a violation of tradition. Hospitals, drug recovery houses, probation and parole offices are some of the facilities we deal with in carrying the NA message. While these organisations are sincere and we hold NA meetings in their establishments, we cannot endorse, finance or allow them to use the NA name to further their growth. However, we are willing to carry the NA principle into these institutions for the addicts who still suffer so that they can make the choice. The next thing we ought never do is finance. This is more obvious. To finance means to supply funds or to help support financially. The third thing warned against in this tradition is lending the NA name to fulfil the purpose of other programs. For example, several times my programs have tried to use Narcotics Anonymous as part of their services offered to help justify funding. Further, the tradition tells us that a related facility in any place involving NA members, it might be a halfway house, a detox centre, a counselling centre or a clubhouse. People are easily confused by what is NA and what are the related facilities. Recovery houses that have been started or staffed by NA members have to take care. Differentiation is clear. Perhaps the most confusion exists when it involves a clubhouse. Newcomers and older members are often identify the clubhouse as Narcotics Anonymous. We should make a special effort to let these people know that these facilities and NA are not the same. An outside enterprise is any agency, business venture, religion, society, organisation, related activity or any other fellowship. Most of these are easy to identify, except for the other fellowships. Narcotics Anonymous is a separate and distinct fellowship in its own right. Our problem is addiction. The other 12-step fellowships specialise in other problems, and our relationship with them is one of cooperation, not affiliation. The use of literature, speakers and announcements from other fellowships in our meetings constitutes an implied endorsement of an outside enterprise. The sixth tradition goes on to warn us what may happen, lest problems of money, property or prestige divert us from our primary purpose. These problems often become obsessions and shut us off from our spiritual aim. For the individual, this type of abuse can be devastating. For the group, it can be disastrous. When we, as a group, waver from our primary purpose, addicts who might have found recovery die.
Thanks very much. I'd like to introduce tonight's speaker. The speaker's Ramond. He's going to share his experience, strength and hopes.
I'm a great recovering addict, and my name is Ramond. And it's good to be back in London. Something in my heart, something in the spiritual realm is happening to me. As pertains to London, I don't know what God is up to, but He's up to something. This is my third time here, and I think I'm scheduled to be back in March for the 4th and 5th step retreat. And somebody can make a mistake and invite you one time. You know what I mean? But they invite you back is a good sign. So I'm very grateful that I've been invited back. I want to thank Jimmy for sharing. When I spoke at the London convention, he was speaking in Kansas somewhere, and we had just finished burying his mother. And I flew from California to New York to come here, and now we're here together. And I want to say a couple of things, because I might get excited, I might say some things. I don't go anywhere in Narcotics Anonymous to tell anyone how they should work their program. I'm here to share my experience, my strength, and my hope. And I often tell people, take what you can, take what benefits you, and leave the rest. Eat the chicken, spit out the bones, right? If it don't apply, let it fly. And so, a lot of you heard my story. I spoke at the convention, so I'm going to tell a little bit of it. I came to Narcotics Anonymous because I don't know how to use drugs successfully. I tried every which way possible to find a way to use drugs successfully. Different drugs, I sniffed, I smoked, I drank, I did whatever, all types of drugs, different neighborhoods, different people. I tried every which way possible that I can think of to try to find a way to use successfully, and I failed miserably. And at the end of the road, I came to Narcotics Anonymous, and I didn't think this was going to work. I was 17 years old, so that was a big problem already. I was 17. And I didn't think this was going to... I tried what I considered extreme measures to try to get clean. I tried a lot of, I tried some different things to get clean. This wasn't my first, show time at the rodeo, and nothing worked for me. And I was left with the dilemma of hopelessness and despair and helplessness. I didn't think that anything was going to help me. I thought that, the first step talks about resignation. and not surrender versus surrender. Resignation, when I just gave up. Okay, I'm going to die a dirty, filthy drug addict. That's just it. Some people are born to be doctors. Some people are born to be presidents. I'm born to show you how dirty, filthy drug addicts live and die. And so I thought that I had resigned, that was my purpose. And I hated God when I got here. You know, at the convention, I talked about going to a religious instruction when I was 9 years old, and I was enjoying it quite well for a couple of weeks, and then the minister took me to the basement and raped me, right? And I talked about, you know, my mother, my grandmother beating me in the name of a higher power because they said that I had demons, and they were trying to extract the demons from my life. So they were beating me in the name of a particular higher power. And I got stories there. And so I'm probably going to stay stuck right there 2 through 7 if I can. And you know, I came into Narcotics Anonymous, and I didn't know how to live life. Everything I knew about life almost killed me. All right? And I came in here, and I had a lot of barriers. You know, I was 17. I was young. I've been arrested this amount of times. I've been in jail. You know, the disease of separation. You know, it wants me to shoot the messenger before the messenger opens his mouth. It wants to rob the hope. It wants me to shoot the messenger so that I don't receive the hope the messenger has to give me. And so after coming back from a relapse, I came back from my relapse February 28th, 1991. So I come out. That's why when I share, I tell people, if you relapse, man, I want to welcome you home. It takes special courage to come back. You know, the literature says the shame is not in using, the shame is in not coming back. You know, and Jimmy talked about this a couple of times. You know, I'd rather be here, you know, thinking about using drugs than be out there using, wishing I was clean. You know what I'm saying? And so if you're here, welcome home. You know, you never know what meeting you're going to make where something shifts in the spiritual realm, and that's it. You're here one day at a time to stay. And so I pray that either Jimmy share or my share or whatever, that you would understand that addicts do recover. That there's a way out from active addiction. That's the NA way. And there's a way out. There's a way to get back when the disease stole from me. It's the NA way. And there's a way to get my dignity and my respect back. Is the NA way. There's a way that my mother can get her son back. Is the NA way. There's a way that I could become a reliable, responsible brother to my siblings. Is the NA way. There's a way to find success and purpose and meaning in life, and it's the Narcotics Anonymous way. And I want to welcome, I don't care how many times you tried and fell, I don't know if you just fell, I don't know if you're getting high today, I want to welcome, I want to let you know that addicts do recover. That it is possible to stay clean, lose the desire to use, and find a new way of life. And I want to welcome you home. So after getting here, right, I put down the drugs. I got a simple story. I thought I have a drug problem, right? I use drugs. I become a monster. The monster's out the cage until they put him in the cage. I get out from the cage. I use drugs. I become a monster. They grab the monster, put him in the cage. You know, I get out the cage. I use drugs. Like, it's not that, you know, I got a drug addict story. And yeah, I can talk about, I shot people and I stabbed people and I got scars all over my body. And, you know, if it ain't rough, it ain't right. And I'd rather be carried by 6 than judged by 12. And I could talk about being a cartoon gangster, but really, the disease was my pimp. And the disease played me for a sucker and had me as a puppet on a string, and I did whatever I had to do for the next one. There was nothing, and I suffered, and I degraded myself, and I broke my mother's heart, and I embarrassed my sisters, and I put my family's life in jeopardy, and I was a menace to, you know, where I was at. And I came to Narcotics Anonymous, and it's so sad what happened to me in NA. It's so sad. And what's sad is that happens to a lot of people in Narcotics Anonymous. Let me tell you, there was a guy named Wilson who said, when I went to meetings, he said, listen, if you're new, all right? If you're old, listen. In this book, there's life-transforming information. In this book, you can find a way to heal from resentments that have been raping you for 20 years. In this book, you can find a process where you can find self-acceptance, and you can change your self-image, and you can build self-esteem, and you can be able to find yourself prepared and equipped to be in a healthy relationship. You don't got to be a necrophiliac no more, right? You know, having a relationship with dead things, you know. So they said, in this book, there's a way. So he says, in this book, you know what the disease says? The hell with that book. Whatever we do, we're not going to touch that book. You know what I mean? And so it's just sad that inside of me, instinctively, something just draws away from recovery, draws away from spirituality, doesn't like spiritual. I love character defects. You understand? I like the dark. I like to be in dark places. I'm most comfortable in the sleaziest, dirty places. And so I came in and they said, read the book. And the book, there's information. And look, he said, we're not going to school. We're not doing homework. I had a support group. It was us four and no more. The chosen frozen. You know what I mean? And we were definitely going to stay away from anybody who brought their books to meetings, anybody who believed in a higher power, anybody doing step work. We definitely, we're going to stay away from these guys. You know what I mean? And so I suffered clean. And it says very, and it's so sad because if I would have read the book, I'm one of these guys, right? That I don't know if, I see you got these furniture stores. I see a furniture store, big furniture store. I won't say the name because it's tradition, right? But I see it, all right. But there's this furniture store, and I buy furniture from the furniture store, right? And I open the box in the furniture store, so I got to build this furniture that I just bought, and I take the instructions, and I go like this. Right? And then I spend 4 hours trying to build the furniture, and I kick the door, and I curse over here, and I break the lamp, and after 4 hours now I'm good and miserable. You know what I do? I say, where's the instructions? I go look for the instructions. So what happened to me clean is that it's funny and it's sad and very painful. That I was clean for years. I mean years, not weeks, not months, for years, clean for years, thinking that I knew something about something. Talking arrogantly and pridefully and being cynical and belligerent, and I didn't understand. It says in the first step, it says we have found that we must completely change our old ways of thinking or go back to using. I didn't understand. I said I'll give you my drugs because the drugs, made me into this monster. But I'm not going to give you this, and I'm not going to give you that. And God, definitely not. Don't try to play me for some spiritual sucker. Power greater yourself, higher power, spirit. I'm not with it. And so instinctively, now I did step work, so I understand that it says in the second step guide, right? It says some very powerful stuff in the second step guide. If I can find it here, I tried to hold it out. But it says something in the second step guide that's very powerful, right? I didn't read it when I didn't read it. It took me years. But look what it says in the second step guide. It's pretty powerful. Coming to Believe, page 13, the green and gold book, right? It says, it's important for us to identify and overcome any barriers that could prevent us from coming to believe. Right? It says it real simple, not that deep. It says, it says we must identify and overcome. It is important to do that. You know what I did? I said, hell no. Hell no. I got barriers. They ain't going nowhere. You're not going to touch them. Matter of fact, we're going to build more barriers now that I say that. And so what happened is that, and it happens all over the world, and here's what I understand. It doesn't matter how you do NA in London. It doesn't matter how you do NA in America. It doesn't matter how you do NA in Canada. Listen, this is the NA way. And we don't like that. Right now, people can defend. This program right here, no one who's ever lived this program has ever relapsed. No one. If somebody has relapsed, they wasn't living this program. Now, I know what there's people where I come from, like me, will say, you know what? I don't like this. I don't like this thing right here. That I don't like it. So you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to change a couple of words around. because I want to work. I want to work my program. And I change a couple of words around, and I play with a couple of things, and next thing you know, it went from 12 steps of Narcotics Anonymous to 12 steps to Ramond Anonymous. You see what I'm saying? And Ramond Anonymous never worked. Ramond Anonymous leaves his mother crying. Raymond Anonymous leaves a woman that he said he loved her and that he was going to leave her crying, waiting, and he's gone. Raymond Anonymous keeps me suffering and suffering and suffering. And it's crazy because you could be here clean for many years and not know what NA has to offer you. And the disease will make, I'm going to fight with Bradley. No, you're wrong, Bradley. No, you're wrong. Well, what about this page? What about that page? And meanwhile, the disease is pounding us. Pounding us. And so I struggled with God. I had a reason to struggle, man. How can God be good when I'm getting raped by supposedly one of his... How is God good when he's penetrating me? Tell me, how is God good? How is God good when my 7-year-old best friend gets hit by a drunk driver? And how is God good? How is God good when I pray every birthday in America? I don't know, we have a cake. And we make a wish. And every birthday I'm praying that my daddy would come home. And the prayer's not, how is God good, man? Explain to me, how is your God good? How is your God good when I'm caught up in active addiction and I'm saying, listen, I don't want to do the things I'm doing. I'm driven by a powerful drive. I don't have no choice. I got to rob my mother. I got to shoot that guy. I got to go to jail because I have no choice. How is God good? And so I struggled. And there's one man, it's crazy to be in Narcotics Anonymous and you can't stop acting. See, what happens to me happens to a lot of people. I'm not the only one. When you stop using drugs, right, after a certain amount of clean time, you're clean. So now, I don't drink alcohol, but I drink lust. Right? I might not be shooting no brown stuff, right? But I'm shooting resentments. I might not be sniffing no white stuff, right? But I'm sniffing arrogance and self-righteousness. So now I'm clean, I'm in NA, and now the defects are ravaging my life the same way the drugs ravaged my life before I got here. And I can't connect with nobody. I think my sponsor's going to hurt me. He's going to get me. I think that you're trying to get my girlfriend. I think in the job, the boss is trying to get in my pants. That's why you do it. I don't trust. I'm insecure in my relationships. I know you're going to leave me. I know who were you with? Where were you at? Who was there? Who do you love the most? You know, what boyfriend you had? I've been in a car, having a great time, David. A great time hanging out with my girlfriend. We're having a great time, beautiful day. And there's a song on from 1987, right? And the song is on, and we listen to the song, yeah. And then the disease says, who's she thinking about? Why is she so happy? And so I don't know, and to be clean, and then, so I was clean, and it was us, because, water seeks its own level. So I got the guys who were just like me. I said, listen, you believe in God? No, great, running buddy. You believe in God? Great, no, come on, over here. And so and listen, and I'm not here, I came here to try to carry a message. I'm not a big shot, there's nothing special about me. I don't got a special message. I'm an addict in need of recovery. I got Jekyll and Hyde fighting for the stage every day. Every day. And so I'm just here to carry, I'm one beggar telling another beggar where he found bread to eat. It's here, in the 12 steps of Narcotics Anonymous. It's not, that's where it's at. So I want to say a couple of things, right? I had to go to the 6th step, right? It's not that deep. Like, you know what's funny about me? When it comes to anything else, I'm pretty, when it says alcohol is a drug, right? It means alcohol. Alcohol is a drug. When it says no endorsements, it means no endorsements, When it says total absence, so everywhere else in the program, I understand, yeah, self-supporting, okay. Yeah, okay, over here. Yeah, all right, sponsor, okay, yeah, home group. When it talks about God, I'm like, oh, wait, whoa. And I flip it. And I get discombobulated, and my equilibrium gets off center, and I get twisted. Listen, in the 6th step, it says very simply, we became entirely ready to have God. I don't know what you think about that. But if you want what we have to offer, and I don't care how much clean time you got, because in New York, we're losing our members with clean time. In New York, it says in the Living Clean book that many of us stay around for a while, deal with our disease of addiction, but many of our underlying issues go untouched. And so I don't know, and I came to, I'm not that guy that's eager, I came to share a message of hope. And it says we were entirely to have God remove all these things. If you're not entirely to have God, Raymond, then you're not at the sixth step. Raymond. If Raymond is not ready if he's not to have God. See, in the sixth step, it's not me. In the seventh step, it's not me. It's not my sponsor. It's not NA. It says in very clear in our literature that, only a power of greater self can free us from these defects. But it also says, however, the extent that our members understand and appreciate this depends on how much they went on and off again, struggle and surrender. How much pain they went through. It's easy to be arrogant and prideful and not need God when I got a job, I got a car, everything's going good, and I'm doing good. I look good, I smell good, I got polo underwear on, I'm doing good. Who needs God when you got polo underwear? Right? But when that broken part of me wakes up at 2 o'clock in the morning, and that broken part of me, that disease that's not going nowhere, wants to break my daughter's heart. When that broken part of me wants to ravage my family clean. When that broken part, I've tried talking about it. I've tried taking burning desires and said, listen, I want to leave here and go to a whorehouse. I got something that drives me to this lust. Lust has been a big problem for me, this lusting. My sponsor says, what do you think you're looking for in the sex bed? What are you looking for? And then, because of the fifth step, I finally got it. Man, I can't be, it's not a men's meeting, but I would have sex many times a day. I would have sex with myself, right? So I can have better sex with a woman. And then I have sex with myself. And a lot of, throughout the whole day, and I was still thirsty. And I said, if this is a physical craving, then it should be satisfied already. So what are you looking for? And I found out for me, that in my fifth step, that I got a spiritual emptiness, that I look for sex to try to satisfy. And that I get this false validation in sex, that it only lasts while sex is happening. So when I'm not having sex, I need to go look for it again. And I got this thing, I got to the sixth step, right? And I needed to have God. I don't know how to explain it. And let me tell you something. It took me 4.5 years, 5 years to surrender. 4.5 years, 5 years of I'm a Puerto Rican from New York City, and every culture has machismo and pride and different things. But for my kids to call another man dad, I cut his face. Like that, you don't call. And my defects have put my children in a situation where their mother had to leave me, and she had to go with another man, and they have another guy that they call daddy now. And they got daddy this guy and daddy Ramond. And my defects, my disease, and I wish I could tell you that the disease stole my family from me, but the disease didn't steal my family. I gave them away. I gave them to the other guy. I said, here. I can't believe she stood so long. And so when you see your kids call another person daddy, and your girl, your wife is with another man, and you're there, and you got to act like, yeah, it's good, it's all good, and inside you're dying inside, and inside you think about, I need to blow my brains out, I didn't want to use. Where I come from, people die clean. They die with HIV, AIDS, hepatitis C. They're dying and they're reading literature as they're dying. So I seen gladiators in NA stay clean no matter what. I seen this man, they raped his daughter and he stood clean. I see this other man, this guy from another place, his wife killed herself. He didn't use. I seen people go through stuff and they didn't use. So they show me that no matter what happens, we don't have to use. And so, but I thought about killing myself. I can't live with the drugs, and I can't live without the drugs, and I can't get it. I switch the words around, I play with it, and it's not working for me. And so with 4.5 years clean, I surrendered. And there's an NA way, right? There's an NA way. It's not that deep, the NA way. Too many people want to change it. Listen, the disease don't want me to get with God. The disease don't want you to get with God. The disease don't want steps. The disease says, right now, shut up, don't listen to this guy, let's get out of here. That's what the disease does. Who this American thinks he is? Freaking Americans. That's the disease. So but look what it says. I'll read to you, right? It says here, in the second step, if I could find it. And this is the literature. We need, the disease don't, you know what they say? They just say in New York, if you want to hide something from the addict, put it in the book. Look what it says in Narcotics Anonymous, right? It says this, page 24, the 6th edition basic text. The process of coming to believe is similar for most addicts. Not all addicts, most. All right? Most of us lacked a working relationship with a higher power. Working. I remember I told my sponsor, I said, I don't believe in God. God can go to hell. I hate God. I don't believe in God. You believe in God? Screw you. Screw God. Screw you. Screw God. Screw you. Screw all you God people. Right? My sponsor says, man, for somebody who don't believe in something, you're pretty mad at it. Right? So anyway, so I didn't have a working relationship with God. It wasn't working. You want to know why it wasn't working? Because I had the God of my convenience. I had the God of my imagination. You know, the disease chose my God. I didn't know that the disease chose my God. And before I got here, and even I got many gods. I remember I turned my woman to take care of my higher power ones, and I bought her shoes, and I bought her an outfit, and I bought her an apartment full of furniture, and she still left me. She was my God. Right? And I remember I had a God called money, and this job was mine. And I've had many gods in NA. I don't want to call them that, but I worship them. I definitely worship them. And so it says here, we lack a working relationship. So I got a relationship, but we definitely on bad terms. He's over there somewhere, and I'm over here, and for a little while I liked it like that. But now I'm suffering clean. Now I'm getting suicidal thoughts. Now I'm mad at people. I don't know why. Frankie, I don't like Frankie. He's where he's happy. He's doing service. He got sponsees. I don't know why. Screw Frankie. I don't like that guy. Who do you think he is anyway? And this guy, I don't like that guy, and that guy, and that. Oh, I like you believe on the cultural literature. I don't like him neither. And I'm sitting in a meeting, and I'm hating people for no reason. So it says this. So, I mean, it's all right. So it says this. So most of us lack the working relationship. So if you come from where I come from and hating God and loathing God and resisting, I'm sharing for you. All right? It says this. We begin to develop this relationship by simply admitting to the possibility of a power greater than ourselves. So you don't got to say yes. You don't got to give up nothing. You don't got to give your gun away. You know what I mean? You can say, maybe it's possible that the literature says that NA is a God-given program. Maybe it's possible because it says that the same power that brought us to the rooms is still with us and can help us if we allow it. Maybe it's possible that my friend CeeLo is still using after 20 years and I'm clean because there's some power that's benefiting me. Maybe it's possible that this guy died of an overdose and I didn't. And so, so maybe, I could do maybe. Maybe I have no conviction. Okay, on the fence, we're cool. I've been on the fence many times. All right? So it says we begin to develop this by simply means of the possibility, right? So I'm not saying there is. I'm not hanging out with the God squad. I'm still here, but I'm saying maybe. All right. So it says this, the next paragraph. We talked and listened to others. We saw other people recovering, and they told us what was working for them. Right? So I saw Wilson. I saw he had like 5 pairs of sneakers, and he had hats that matched his sneakers, and he had a nice chain, Mr. T starter kit, you know what I mean? And then he got a car, and then he put nice rims on the car, and then I saw people. This guy came in, he had no teeth. Now he got teeth. I saw people I can't deny it. I don't got to see an archaeologist or a History Channel or Google. I'm seeing miracles right before me. So I saw the people recovering, and they told us what's working for them. Look what it says. We began to see evidence of some power that could not be fully explained. Confronted with this evidence, we began to accept the existence of a power greater than ourselves. So I don't know if you see the transition. I went from maybe, possible, to I saw what's happening in you guys' lives. If Jimmy Jam can stay clean, there's something out here, something, because green and red liver bow. He had a seizure, was 7 days clean. He didn't know which way was up. Jimmy Jam stay clean. Something is working. So I accept it. There's something, you can feel it in the rooms. You can feel it when somebody embraces you. You can feel it when a newcomer gets his first day welcome key time. There's something you can feel here. So I began to accept. I don't know what it is. I'm not calling it God, but okay. And then it says the next paragraph, page 25. As we see coincidences and miracles happening in our lives. See, now I got some new sneakers with a hat now. Right? Now I got from 58 tickets to driving suspensions. Now I only got 35. I'm on my way. You know what I mean? Now I got some clean underwear on. Now my mother's inviting me back in the house for dinner. Now I got some key tags, and so I saw something happening in my life. It says this: acceptance becomes trust. It says this. Check this out. We grow to feel comfortable with our higher power as a source of strength. As we learn to trust this power, we begin to overcome our fear of life. I was so afraid all my life. Afraid I'm going to get hurt in a relationship. Afraid somebody's going to cheat on me. Afraid somebody's going to... I was afraid. I had this impending doom always. Always. Where's it going to come from? Who's going to... one of you is... And as my time is... I surrendered to a higher power 4.5 years clean. I had 4.5 years clean. And I'll never forget the day. Alex, I needed that power when my mother died. I needed that power, man. It was dark for me. It was real dark. It was a dark time when I buried my mother, and everybody went home and everybody left. And 2 weeks later, I was in a cave. And that's the times where either you got it or you don't. All the sharing, all the CDs, that don't mean nothing. Either I have this relationship that's going to sustain me, or the disease is going to rape me. And I had this relationship with God, and I had to accept. It says I'm going to close down with this. It says in the third step that once you find a higher power and everything is wonderful and your life is touched by something greater, you're optimistic about life and everything is great. And then the next thing says, then something happens. Then something happens that challenges everything you believe about a higher power. It says that you feel instinctively that you're drawn away from your higher power, and you feel like you've been kicked in the stomach, and you just don't understand what's going on. It says at times like this is when we need a higher power the most. And I went through this cave, and I don't know, Jimmy went through it, and other people are gonna, we all got to travel that road. And in the dark times, God grew me, and God matured me, and God did something in my life. There's some things you only can find in the dark times. It's not at the convention, it's not at the main meeting, it's not at the party. It's when you're crying. When you got to cry sometimes to grow. And there's a great chapter in the Living Clean book. It's called Growing Pains. And if you're going through a dark time, read it, so that we mature through these problems. And this pain, many times, if we don't use them, if we work the steps, the pain and the darkness takes us to the next level of our recovery. And I'm grateful I'm here. I can't believe I've been clean all this time. I can't believe that people love me and they like me. And people say thanks for sharing. And I can't believe this. I'm going to close by telling you I'm married. March will be 15 years. I'm coming back to the retreat. I asked my wife if she wants to come. She said, my wife probably don't want to come. That's cool. She probably prefers a tattoo. You know what I mean? My wife probably said, how much it goes to London? How much is the hotel? How much is this? How much is that? Okay, give me that money for tattoos. And then she likes to get these expensive tattoos from people I don't like. But that's fine. But I'm giving her I've been married, and there's no woman in NA here. I'm a man, and I haven't seen my wife in 3 weeks. So I'm a little feely, touchy, whatever. I got some emotions going on, and I see some beautiful women. But I've learned in the 6th step, to give some stuff to God and act like my wife is here, even if she's not here. To honor her when she's not looking. And that's giving me a whole bunch of freedom, I like that. I have a little bit of integrity today. So if you're new or you're old, if you're struggling with God, let's talk about it. This is a God-given program. The disease don't want us to get the freedom from 6 and 7, so he keeps us far from the power so we can get raped by our defects. My time is up. My name is Ramond. Thanks for letting me.
And then we celebrate clean time with hearings, hugs, or that. Like